Identity is greater than a job title too often. People reduce themselves to what's written on a business card or what comes after the words, I am. But the truth is, your title doesn't define you. Your actions do. Your title may be temporary, but your character is permanent. The company you work for might change. The role you hold might disappear. But the person you become along the way, that is what lasts. It's easy to introduce yourself with a label. I'm a lawyer. I'm a manager. I'm a student. But those are just categories the world places on you. They describe what you do, not who you are. And if you let those words become your whole identity, you've already limited yourself. Because you are not just a position, you are a person with values, dreams, and influence that go far beyond the office door or the paycheck you collect. Think about it. A job title can open doors, but it cannot keep them open. Respect is not earned by a title, it's earned by how you live. Some of the most respected people I know have never had impressive titles, but they carried themselves with integrity, discipline, and humility. On the other hand, I've met people with big titles but small character, and eventually their influence faded. You cannot live forever on a borrowed label. Your legacy will always come down to what you did, not what you called yourself. When you build your identity around a title, you are building on sand. What happens when the title is taken away? What happens when the company downsizes, when the economy shifts, when someone younger and sharper takes your place? If all you ever invested in was a label, you'll be left empty. But if you built yourself on principles, values, and personal growth, no one can take that away. Your title may expire, but your identity is renewable every single day. Identity is about character. And character is revealed in the small things. It's in showing up on time when no one is watching. It's in doing more than what you're paid for, so eventually you'll be paid for more than you do. It's in being kind to people who can't repay you, in keeping promises that are inconvenient, in staying disciplined when it would be easier to cut corners. These things don't come with applause, but they build a foundation stronger than any title. The problem is, we live in a culture obsessed with labels. We're trained to ask, what do you do? As if that's the most important thing about someone. But the better question is, who are you becoming? What good is it to have the title of manager if you cannot manage your temper? What good is it to be called a leader if no one wants to follow you? What good is it to be a professional if you treat people with disrespect? Titles impress for a moment, but identity influences for a lifetime. I'll tell you something, the most powerful people are often the quiet ones. They don't rush to explain who they are. They let their life do the talking. You watch them long enough and you realize this person doesn't just have a role, they have a presence. Their influence is felt before it's spoken. That's the kind of person you want to become. Someone whose actions announce their worth louder than their introductions ever could. And here's the key, your identity is not something you're handed, it's something you build. Every day you're writing your story with choices, with habits, with priorities. You don't have to wait for a promotion to become valuable. You don't need a degree to carry yourself with excellence. You don't need a fancy title to be a leader in your community, your family, your workplace. Leadership and influence are not about labels. They are about lifestyle. So never confuse what you do with who you are. You are not your business card. You are not your position. You are not the letters after your name. You are the values you hold, the disciplines you practice, the vision you pursue. And if you live by that standard, you'll never need to announce your title because people will already know your worth. At the end of life, no one will remember the title you held. They'll remember the difference you made, the kindness you showed, the strength you demonstrated, the lives you touched. Identity is greater than a job title because while titles fade, identity is eternal. So build yourself bigger than any label, and the world will never forget who you were. In life, there's a temptation to explain yourself, to declare your intentions, to make sure the world knows exactly what you do and what you stand for. But there is a principle far more powerful than explanation. It is demonstration. Don't tell me who you are, show me. Don't tell me your goals, show me the habits that move you toward them. Don't tell me you're disciplined. Show me the results that come from your discipline. Show, don't tell. Talk is cheap because it costs nothing. Anyone can say they're hardworking, focused, or ambitious. But words without proof are like promises without follow-through, empty and forgettable. The world is not persuaded by claims, it is persuaded by consistency. Your daily actions are the evidence that your words are true. When people see how you live, when they witness how you handle pressure, when they notice your integrity in the small things, that's when you gain influence. That's when you build trust. Success has a way of announcing itself without you saying a word. When you walk into a room with quiet confidence, when you've done the preparation, when you carry yourself with calm discipline, you don't need to tell anyone what you're about. They feel it. Presence speaks before words ever leave your mouth. The farmer doesn't brag about the harvest in springtime. He simply plants, waters, and works the soil. Then, when autumn comes, the results speak for themselves. That is the principle of show, don't tell. Think of the people you admire most. Chances are, it's not because of what they claimed about themselves. It's because of what they modeled. A mentor who lived with integrity. A leader who worked harder than anyone else. A friend who was there when it mattered most. They didn't need to tell you what kind of person they were. Their example said it louder than words ever could. You don't convince people by telling them how successful you are. You convince them by the value you bring, the problems you solve, the way you consistently deliver results. Telling is fragile. It's dependent on whether people believe your story. Showing is undeniable. It removes doubt because results cannot be faked. When you build something real, when you create excellence with your own hands, the evidence is permanent. And here's the secret: when you live by show, don't tell, people start to lean in. Curiosity rises. They wonder, what makes this person so reliable? What drives them to such excellence? How do they remain so steady when others break? They ask not because you told them, but because you gave them reasons to ask. And when they ask, that's when your words finally have weight, because they're backed by proof. Living this way also builds humility. If you stop trying to convince people with your words, you free yourself from the burden of needing recognition before it's earned. You stop measuring your worth by how many people clap for you and start measuring it by how faithfully you do the work. The reward becomes the process itself, the discipline, the growth, the results that follow. Let your character be so strong that it needs no introduction. Let your work ethic be so visible that it doesn't need to be announced. Let your results stand like a monument that cannot be ignored. When you walk into a room, don't aim to impress with stories. Aim to impress with presence, with excellence, with quiet confidence. The great paradox is this: when you stop telling, people start noticing. When you stop chasing recognition, recognition starts chasing you. The applause comes not because you asked for it, but because you earned it. And the kind of recognition that's earned always lasts longer than the kind that's demanded. So, ask yourself, what story is my life telling right now without words? If someone followed me for a week, would they see discipline or excuses? Would they see consistency or chaos? Would they see a person who talks big dreams but lives small habits, or a person whose habits are building the very future they dream about? Remember, the loudest message you'll ever send is the life you live. Show me your habits, and I'll know your priorities. Show me your effort, and I'll know your ambition. Show me your consistency, and I'll know your future. Stop trying to persuade people with explanations and start persuading them with evidence. Live in such a way that your silence speaks volumes. In the end, you won't be remembered for what you told people about yourself. You'll be remembered for what you showed them through the way you lived. And that, my friends, is a legacy words alone can never buy. There's a simple truth about life that many people forget: words are cheap, but actions are costly. Words can be rehearsed, polished, and delivered with flair, but actions require discipline, sacrifice, and consistency. That is why actions create credibility. It's not what you say you'll do, not the label you wear, not the title on your business card. It's the evidence you leave behind in the daily details of your life. You see, most people spend their lives announcing. They're quick to tell you what they do. I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in this industry or that industry. They lead with their occupation as if that one line defines everything about them. But here's the problem: the moment you announce it, people put you in a box. They think they know your limits, your role, your value. But the truth is, your identity is not a job description. It's the sum of your habits, your integrity, and your results. That is why I tell people, never rush to tell others what you do. Instead, let them experience who you are. Let them observe your discipline, your kindness, your persistence, your ability to solve problems. When your life speaks louder than your mouth, you won't need to convince anyone of your worth. They will know, they will feel it, they will see it in your actions. Think about it. If someone tells you they're trustworthy, do you believe them right away? Of course not. Trust is not declared, it's proven. If someone says they're hardworking, do you accept it on the spot? No. You wait to see if they show up early, stay late, and do the work with focus and commitment. Actions are the real evidence of character. They're the receipts of credibility. Without them, words are just promises floating in the air. When I was young, I used to think that if I could explain myself well enough, people would believe in me. But I soon discovered that explanations are weak without results. You can talk about your goals all day long, but if you don't follow through, people stop listening. You can brag about your potential, but if you don't deliver, people stop caring. The world is not moved by claims, it is moved by proof, and proof comes through action. So if you want influence, don't go around advertising yourself. Just do excellent work. Show up with consistency. Deliver more than what is expected. Let your actions be so strong, so undeniable, that others speak for you. They'll introduce you to opportunities. They'll open doors. They'll tell your story better than you ever could, because they'll be speaking from experience, not from persuasion. When people ask you what you do, give them something bigger than a title. Don't say, I'm in sales. That reduces you to a job. Instead say, I help people make better decisions. Don't say, I'm an engineer. Say, I create solutions that make life easier. See, when your life is aligned with purpose, your work is no longer just work. It becomes a mission. And missions don't need hype. They need action. Remember, this credibility is not built overnight, but it is built daily. Every decision you make, every action you take, every promise you keep is like a brick in the foundation of your reputation. When people see that foundation growing stronger day by day, they don't need to be told who you are. They already know. So stop telling people, start showing people. Don't spend your energy trying to impress with words. Spend it on building habits that speak for themselves. Don't tell people you're disciplined. Let them see you at the gym at dawn. Don't tell people you're generous. Let them notice the way you give without asking for credit. Don't tell people you're reliable. Be the one who always follows through, because once actions have spoken, no explanation is necessary. The greatest leaders, the ones we admire most, rarely needed to introduce themselves. They lived in such a way that their actions told their story. Their legacies echo not because of what they claimed, but because of what they consistently delivered. And that is the challenge for each of us, to live so fully, so purposefully, so consistently that we never need to announce who we are. So if you want to be remembered, don't tell people what you do, show them. Live with such conviction that your actions create credibility. Because when your life becomes the evidence, no words will ever be required. Never tell people what you do. Not because your work isn't important, not because it lacks value, but because when you explain yourself too quickly, you take away the most powerful tool you could ever possess, curiosity. Curiosity opens doors that explanations often close. When you tell someone, I am this, I do that, they immediately put you in a category. They think they know everything about you and the mystery is gone. But when you hold back, when you let your actions speak before your words, you invite them into a world of discovery. And that discovery is far more compelling than a title. Think about it. The most intriguing people you've ever met were not the ones who walked into the room and announced their RA Somme. They were the ones who carried themselves with quiet confidence. They didn't need to explain who they were. because you could sense it. Their presence spoke louder than their words. Their discipline, their character, their consistency revealed more than a self-introduction ever could. You see, curiosity makes people lean forward, while explanations make people lean back. When you start with explanations, people stop paying attention. But when you allow curiosity to grow, people cannot help but wonder, who is this person? What drives them? What do they stand for? And once they ask, you have earned the privilege to share not just what you do, but why you do it. That is far more powerful. A job title might impress them for a moment, but a purpose, a vision, a cause, that captures their imagination. We live in a world that rewards talkers. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to share their story. Everyone wants to declare what they do. But let me remind you, words are cheap if they are not backed by results. You can say, I'm successful, but if your life doesn't show success, the words ring hollow. You can say, I'm disciplined, but if your actions betray laziness, your title loses meaning. That's why the quiet professional, the one who lets the results do the talking, always leaves a deeper mark. Curiosity is magnetic. When people see excellence, they want to know the source. When they see consistency, they want to know the system. When they see impact, they want to know the mission. But if you rush to explain, you rob them of the chance to discover. Discovery is powerful because people remember what they find out for themselves. It's like planting a seed in their mind. Instead of giving them the fruit, you give them the soil and let them grow it in their own way. That's what curiosity does. It engages, it pulls, it lingers. Imagine walking into a room and saying nothing about what you do, but living in such a way that people can't help but ask. That's influence. You don't push yourself on them. They pull you into their world because they want to know more. And once they ask, you have leverage. You can shape the conversation not around a title, but around the value you bring. You can shift the focus from a position to a purpose. Instead of saying, I'm in sales, you can say, I help people solve problems and improve their lives. That answer doesn't close the door. It opens it wider. Never forget that curiosity creates anticipation. It builds respect before you even open your mouth. Explanations too soon feel like self-promotion, but curiosity feels like attraction. And attraction is the true currency of influence. People are drawn to those who don't need to announce themselves, but who allow their actions to create the introduction. So what does this mean for you? It means that your greatest strategy is not to tell, but to show. Show up with excellence every day. Show discipline in the small things. Show integrity in your choices. Show kindness in your dealings. Let people see your fruits before they know the roots. Because when the fruits are undeniable, people will seek out the roots. And that is when your story has real power. Curiosity is more powerful than explanation because curiosity opens the heart and the mind. Explanations often satisfy the mind but fail to move the heart. If you want to inspire, if you want influence, if you want to lead, don't be in a rush to declare who you are. Let them see it. Let them feel it. Let them experience it. And when they finally ask, when they lean in and want to know more, then and only then, do you reveal not just what you do, but why you do it. So never tell people what you do. Instead, let your life be the invitation, your actions the story, and your character the proof. Life so fully, so excellently, so authentically that curiosity does the work for you. Because curiosity, my friends, is always more powerful than explanation. When you meet someone new, the first thing they usually ask is, so what do you do? And most people are quick to answer with a title, a position, or a job description. I'm an accountant. I'm a teacher. I'm a manager. It feels normal, even polite. But here's the problem. The moment you give a title, you put yourself into a box. You limit the imagination of the person in front of you, and worse, you limit the way you think about yourself. You are not your position. You are not your job title. You are much bigger than that. That's why I say, never tell people what you do. Let your life, your vision, and your actions do the talking. People often hide behind positions because positions feel safe. A position gives you an identity you can hand over in one sentence. But the truth is, life isn't about positions. It's about vision. A position may pay your bills, but vision shapes your destiny. A position may describe your role, but vision defines your purpose. If you rely only on telling people what you do, you've already limited the conversation to the surface. But if you live by vision, your actions will naturally reveal something deeper, something more attractive, something unforgettable. Think about if you say, "I'm in sales," most people will nod politely and move on. But if you live in such a way that people see you as someone who adds value, someone who creates opportunity, someone who opens doors for others, they will know you're in sales without you saying a word. And here's the beauty. They won't just see you as a salesperson, they'll see you as a builder, a connector, someone who makes things happen. You gave them vision, not position. Vision always outshines position because vision inspires people. A job title may tell them where you are, but vision shows them where you're going. And more importantly, vision shows them what you're building. You don't need to tell people, "I'm an entrepreneur," Lev, with such clarity and drive that when they see your discipline, your energy, and your results, they'll say, "That person must be building something big." You don't need to tell people, "I'm a leader." If you serve with integrity, lift others, and stand firm in your values, people will already know you are one. The danger of always telling people what you do is that you risk being defined by today. If you're not careful, you lock yourself into an identity that might not even be your future. Maybe today you're a clerk, a driver, or a junior associate. That's fine, it's honest work. But don't ever let that single position define who you are becoming. Your vision is greater than your current station. Your life is a journey of growth, and your future identity is too big to be reduced to a single word or title. Instead of telling people what you do, live in a way that they feel what you do. Let your work ethic speak for you. Let your results become your introduction. Let your character shine so brightly that before you ever open your mouth, people already respect you. People don't remember your titles, they remember your impact. They remember how you made them feel, how you treated them, and how you carried yourself when no one was watching. When you operate from vision, people lean in. They become curious. They start to wonder, what does this person really do? And when they ask, don't reduce yourself to a label. Instead, speak in terms of value. Don't say, "I'm a consultant." Say, "I help people solve problems they thought were impossible." Don't say, "I'm in finance." Say, "I help families build a future where money works for them." That's vision over position. One limits you, the other expands you. The truth is, anyone can hold a position, but not everyone carries a vision. Positions are given, but vision is chosen. And the world doesn't need more people hiding behind titles. It needs more people living out a purpose so compelling that words can't contain it. So my challenge to you is simply stop telling people what you do. Let your life, your actions, and your excellence speak for you. And when people are curious enough to ask, don't give them a title, give them a vision. Because when your vision is strong, your position will never limit you. Titles will fade, jobs will change, but vision endures. Vision builds legacies. Vision changes lives. Never tell people what you do. Live in such a way that they never forget who you are. So many people think life is about introductions. They walk into a room and immediately announce who they are, what they do, and what they've achieved. They wear their titles like armor, as if being a manager, an entrepreneur, or a specialist is enough to command respect. But let me tell you something important: introductions fade quickly. Words are forgotten. What lingers long after the conversation is the impression you leave behind, and that impression is your legacy. Legacy speaks louder than introductions. Think about it. How many people have met who gave you a polished introduction, maybe even impressive, but days later you can't even remember their name? Yet there are others who might not have said much about themselves, but their actions, their character, and their energy left such a mark that you'll never forget them. That's the difference between talking about yourself and living in a way that speaks for itself. We live in a world that celebrates the loud, the flashy, the ones quick to announce, but real strength lies in the quiet consistency of character. You don't need to tell people what you do when your work already speaks for itself. You don't need to announce your values when your actions are already a reflection of them. The truth is, people don't measure you by what you say. They measure you by what you leave behind in their experience of you. When you rely too much on introductions, you shrink yourself into a moment, a few words, a title. But when you build a legacy, you expand yourself into time. A legacy is what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's how they describe you to their children. It's the story they tell about that one time you made a difference in their life. It's the silent respect that follows your name, even years after you've gone. That's why legacy will always speak louder than introductions. The challenge is this: are you living in a way that speaks after you stop talking? Are you building something that continues to echo even when you're silent? You see, people remember kindness more than credentials. They remember integrity more than income. They remember how you made them feel long after they've forgotten what you said. A legacy is not built by telling. It's built by doing. Let me remind you of something: your legacy is not built in the big moments alone. It's built in the small, consistent choices you make daily. It's built when you choose honesty over convenience. It's built when you stay disciplined when no one is watching. It's built when you treat people with respect, not because of their status, but because of your standard. Every little choice becomes a brick, and together those bricks build the house of your legacy. And here's the beauty: you don't need to chase recognition when you focus on legacy. Recognition fades, awards collect dust, titles can be stripped away, but legacy endures. Legacy doesn't need a stage, it needs your commitment. It doesn't need applause, it needs your integrity. It doesn't need a spotlight, it needs your consistency. The truth is, people may forget what you told them in an introduction, but they will never forget what you showed them with your life. They may not remember the title on your business card, but they will remember the feeling of trust you created. They may not recall your resume, but they will recall your reliability. Your introduction is a moment. Your legacy is a lifetime. So never be so concerned with telling people who you are. Instead, focus on living in a way that proves it. Never be so quick to announce your title. Instead, let your results introduce you. Never be so eager to explain your greatness. Instead, let the story of your consistency tell it for you. Because in the end, it's not how you introduced yourself that matters. It's how you lived what you gave and the example you left behind. And when people speak of you years from now, they won't repeat your introduction. They'll share your legacy. And that, my friends, will always speak louder.